My mother slid a printed budget across her dining table and asked me to take $36,000 from my daughter's college account. Before I could answer, a cream envelope slipped from her folder. It carried my daughter's name, a gold compass seal, and the words Teaching Fellows Award. My mother covered it. I moved her hand. The letter offered Mia full tuition at the school she had dreamed about for 2 years. The deadline was Monday. My father had signed for it 11 days earlier. Mom looked annoyed, not embarrassed. "We were going to discuss that later," she said, then tapped her budget. She had hidden my child's future and planned to spend the money she thought Mia would no longer need. Over the next 5 days, my family learned that I would still be the responsible daughter. I just would not be responsible for obeying them. Before I tell you how that dinner ended, take a moment to like and subscribe if this story earns it, because that support truly helps. Tell me where you are listening from and what time it is there. I read those comments when the house is quiet. Now let me take you back to the year before that cream envelope landed on my mother's table. My name is Lauren Hale. I am 38 years old, and for 12 years I have worked as a librarian at a public middle school in Madison, Wisconsin. People hear librarian and imagine a quiet room, a cardigan, and a stamp pad. My days are mostly missing chargers, anxious 6th graders, broken printers, and children who wait until the last minute to admit they need help. I like the work because a library is one of the few places where needing help does not make you a problem or create a debt. My daughter, Mia, was 17 and finishing her senior year. She had my brown eyes, her father's stubborn chin, and a habit of reading the final page of a novel before deciding whether to start it. She said she hated uncertainty. The truth was that she could handle uncertainty better than anyone I knew. What she hated was watching adults pretend a choice had not already been made. Mia wanted to become a special education teacher. She had known since 8th grade when she started volunteering every week in an after-school reading group for younger children. She was patient without being soft. She could sit beside a frustrated child for 20 minutes and never make that child feel slow. Her teachers noticed. Parents noticed. The children noticed most of all. They asked for her by name. My family lived 20 minutes away in Verona. My mother, Evelyn, had spent most of her life arranging people into roles. My father, Paul, kept the peace by agreeing with the last person who sounded certain. My younger brother, Grant, was charming, funny, and always one emergency away from handing the problem to someone else. His son, Tyler, was Mia's age. In my mother's version of our family, Grant needed support and I provided it. That pattern started long before any of us had children at home. When Grant forgot a school project, Mom drove to the store at night and finished it beside him. When I forgot one permission slip, she told me consequences built character. When he quit baseball, the coach had failed him. When I left piano lessons because we could not afford both activities, I was mature. I grew up hearing praise that sounded like a compliment and functioned like a bill. "Lauren can handle it," Mom would say. She said it when I walked home in the rain because Grant needed the car. She said it when I took extra shifts at the grocery store while my parents helped him buy a used truck and called that fair. She said it when I chose the state university that gave me aid. Grant attended a private college for 3 semesters, then came home with debt and a story about a professor who had it out for him. I did not hate my brother. That would have made things simpler. Grant could be generous when generosity did not require planning. For one noisy evening, he would show up with pizza, fix a loose cabinet, or make Mia laugh until milk came out of her nose. He also accepted rescue as if it were weather. Someone else always found the umbrella. Most of the time, that someone was my mother. When she could not cover the cost, she looked at me. I married Mia's father, Colin, at 22. We separated 9 years later without any dramatic betrayal between us. We had become 2 tired people who wanted different lives by then. Colin moved to Arizona for work and called Mia every Sunday without fail. He paid support on time, but distance turned him into a voice on a screen. I became the parent who knew the dentist, the bus route, the science fair deadline, and which cereal Mia would still eat after a bad day. I was not wealthy. My salary was steady, and steady can build something when you give it years. I opened an education account when Mia was 3. I put in $50 a month at first. Later, I added tax refunds, part of Colin's support, and every small raise I received. I skipped 2 vacations and drove the same blue Honda until the driver's seat split along the seam because repairs cost less. By Mia's senior year, the account held $36,000. That number became a family fact before it should have left our home. I mentioned it once to my father while we were discussing tuition. Paul told Evelyn. Evelyn told Grant that Mia was covered. From then on, Mom spoke about the account as if it belonged to the family's education department, with Mom firmly in charge. She asked what would happen if Mia received aid. She asked whether unused money could go to another relative instead. I answered once. It is for Mia. I thought that was clear. Tyler wanted to study sports management. He had been accepted at a private college near Chicago that spring. The school was respectable, the campus was beautiful, and the cost made Grant go pale. Tyler received a small grant, but not enough. Grant had no college fund for him. He had meant to start one many times. There was always a car repair, a move, a new job, or a reason the first deposit had to wait until next month, year after year. Mom treated Grant's lack of planning as a family emergency with a deadline. She made spreadsheets. She called financial aid offices. She started sentences with "we need to find a way." Whenever she said "we," I checked my wallet. I told her Tyler had other options. He could attend the state school that had offered him more aid. He could live at home for a year. He could work. Mom heard every option as an insult. Mia can adjust, she told me one afternoon. We were washing dishes after Sunday lunch. She has always been flexible. I dried a plate and set it down. Flexible is not the same as available. Mom gave me the look she used when I had violated a rule she had never stated. No one said available, she replied, but she had. She just used a kinder word. Mia found the Cedar Hills Teaching Fellows Award through her school counselor, Renee Park. Cedar Hills was a small private university in Milwaukee with a strong education program. The award covered full tuition for students who committed to teaching in high-need public schools in nearby districts after graduation. It did not cover housing, books, meals, or travel. That was exactly what Mia's education account could handle without strain. The application required essays, recommendations, an interview, and a recorded lesson. Mia spent 3 weeks planning a reading activity for 4th graders. She used a children's book about a fox that could not follow a straight path. Her lesson was about different ways of reaching the same answer. I watched her record it at our kitchen table. She stumbled twice, started again, and refused my offer to edit the video. They should see how I recover, she said. That sentence stayed with me. I had spent half my life hiding recovery. I wanted people to see competence, not the fear and cost behind it. Mia did not mind being seen trying. She only wanted the chance to try for herself. During the application month, a pipe burst in the apartment above ours. Water came through Mia's bedroom ceiling and soaked one wall of the living room. Repairs took 6 weeks. We stayed with my parents while fans roared through our apartment. The scholarship form asked for a permanent mailing address. Mom insisted we use hers because our building's mailboxes were behind the construction barrier. I hesitated. Mia needed a stable address, and my parents had never mishandled her mail. I entered their address on the form. It felt harmless. That was my mistake. I had spent years treating my mother's interference like a personality trait instead of a boundary problem for all of us. I knew she pushed. I still believed there were doors she would not open. We moved home before Thanksgiving. Mia updated her college applications, but the Teaching Fellows form had already closed. Renee told us the committee usually sent decisions by email and certified mail. Mia used her school email. Neither of us worried about the address. Mom asked twice when the decision would arrive. I thought she was interested. I did not understand that she was watching the mailbox. By spring, college decisions filled our kitchen counter. Mia was accepted at Cedar Hills and 2 state schools. Cedar Hills offered a standard aid package, but it still left too much tuition. The Teaching Fellows Award would decide everything. Mia checked her email every morning. Nothing came. She tried to act casual. I recognized the careful voice of someone protecting herself from disappointment. Renee checked with the scholarship office in early May. The office said final notices were being mailed. A message had also gone to Mia's school account, but the district filter had quarantined it because the outside sender used an automated system. Renee submitted a request to release it. The request moved slowly. The letter should have reached my parents first. On a Friday afternoon, the postal carrier brought a certified cream envelope to the house in Verona while we were at school. My father signed for it. I learned that later. At the time, all I knew was that Mom called me that evening and invited us to dinner the Tuesday after next without mentioning the letter. Her voice was unusually bright. "We should talk about college as a family," she said. "Grant has some news too." I should have asked what kind of news. Instead, I said we would be there. Tuesday was 3 days before Mia's final exams began. I assumed Mom wanted one of her formal planning talks. She liked folders, matching pens, and decisions that looked settled before anyone else arrived. Mia asked whether Tyler had chosen his school. I said probably. Neither of us guessed Mom had already chosen for both of them. The night before dinner, Mia stood in my bedroom doorway holding 2 sweatshirts. One said Cedar Hills. The other carried the name of the state university in Madison. "Which one makes me look less desperate?" she asked. I told her neither. She tossed both on the bed. What if the scholarship people already picked someone and just forgot to tell me? I said good committees did not forget people. I believed it when I said it. Mom's table was set when we arrived. She had made roast chicken, green beans, and the lemon pie Tyler liked. Grant sat beside his son. Paul poured iced tea and avoided looking at me. There was a gray folder at Mom's place. I noticed it because my mother never put paperwork beside food. She waited until everyone had a plate, then folded her hands. "Tyler has decided on Franklin West," she announced. Grant smiled with relief that did not fit the size of the bill. Tyler looked at his potatoes. Mom explained the remaining cost. She used phrases like investment, family legacy, and helping the next generation. Then she opened the gray folder and slid a budget across the table. My name was printed beside the largest line. $36,000. Not close to that amount. Not whatever I could spare. The exact balance of Mia's education account. Mom had written Mia's contribution above it, as if my daughter were donating her future to a fundraiser she never joined. Under that, she had listed smaller amounts from herself, Paul, and Grant. Their combined share did not equal a third of mine. For a few seconds, I heard only the ceiling fan. Mia read the page once, then she looked at me. "Did you agree to this?" she asked. "No." Grant's smile disappeared. Mom lifted one hand. "No one has agreed yet. We are discussing what makes sense." I asked how she knew the exact account balance. She said Paul had mentioned it. Paul studied his glass. "That money is for Mia," I said. Mom leaned toward me. "Mia has options. Tyler has one shot." There it was again. Mia could adjust. Tyler's desire was a fixed object while hers was soft clay. I told Mom that a private college was not his only shot. Tyler flinched. I hated that he was sitting there. Mom had made him the face of a demand he had not spoken. She reached for another page. The motion pulled the cream envelope from the folder. It slid across the polished wood and stopped near my water. The gold compass seal faced up. Mia's full name was visible through the window. I knew the Cedar Hills logo because I had stared at it on her application for weeks. Mom put her palm over the envelope. I put my hand on top of hers. I did not squeeze, I simply held it there. "Move your hand," I said. Her eyes narrowed. "Lauren, do not make this ugly." I looked at my daughter. Her face had gone still. "Move your hand," I repeated. This time Paul whispered, "Evelyn." She pulled back. The envelope had been opened along the top. Inside was a letter on heavy paper. Mia had been selected for the Teaching Fellows Award, full tuition. She had to accept by Monday at noon. The letter was dated 11 days earlier. There were instructions for an online confirmation and a phone number for questions. At the bottom, someone had underlined the deadline in blue ink. Mom used blue ink for grocery lists, birthday cards, and church committee notes. I held up the page. "You opened this." She did not deny it. "It came to my house." It was addressed to Mia. "She is a minor. She is 17, and you are not her parent." Mom's mouth tightened. I was trying to prevent a rushed decision. Mia asked the question I could not. "Were you going to tell me?" Mom looked at her with the patient expression she used on children who asked why adults got to make rules without question. "Of course, after we had a sensible plan." Mia touched the scholarship letter with one finger. "The deadline is Monday." Mom said, "Exactly. There was no need to upset everyone before tonight." I asked why she had hidden it. Mom glanced at Paul, then at the budget. "Cedar Hills is 2 hours away. Your grandfather's surgery is this summer. Your mother works. Family needs to be considered." Mia stared at her. "You wanted me to stay here to help Grandpa." Mom answered too quickly. "Not help, be present." Paul needed knee surgery. He would use a walker for a few weeks and attend physical therapy. Mom had already arranged rides through his clinic and their church. Mia was not his only source of care. She was simply the easiest person to volunteer. Mom wanted her close enough to drive, shop, and fill the gaps. She also wanted the $36,000 freed for Tyler. "If Mia attends the state school, she can live at home," Mom said. "The cost will be lower. Her account will stretch. Tyler does not have that flexibility." I folded the letter carefully. "You mean her account will become available?" Mom sat back. "I mean this family has 2 children starting college and 1 pool of resources." "No," I said. "We have 2 children and 1 account that belongs to one of them." Grant rubbed his forehead. "Mom told me you were considering helping." I looked at him. I was not. His face changed. Tyler pushed his plate away. Mom spoke over both of them. "Nothing has been decided. That is why we are here." She slid a beneficiary change form toward me. My signature line was marked with a yellow tab. I read enough to understand what she wanted. She expected me to name Tyler as the new beneficiary of Mia's education account. She had printed the form, entered his information, and marked where I should sign. She had done all of that while the scholarship letter sat open in her folder. This was not a confused suggestion. It was a completed plan waiting for my obedience. I put the form back on the table. "Mia and I are leaving." Mom's chair scraped. "You cannot storm out every time the family asks you to contribute." I almost laughed. I had contributed since I was old enough to carry grocery bags. Instead, I placed the scholarship letter inside its envelope and handed it to Mia. "Keep this with you." Mom reached for the envelope. Mia stepped behind me. It was a small movement, but I felt it through my whole body. My daughter had never used me as a shield before. I faced my mother. "Do not touch her mail again." Mom's voice dropped. "You are teaching her to be selfish." I said. "No, I am teaching her that being loved does not make her property." Paul followed us to the front door. He said my name once softly. I turned, waiting for him to say he had not known. He looked past me toward the dining room. "Your mother is worried," he said. That was his defense, not innocence. Worry. I asked whether he had seen the letter. His eyes moved to the floor. That was enough for the moment. Mia held the envelope against her chest all the way to the car. Once the doors closed, she asked whether the award was real. I said yes. She asked whether Mom could stop her from accepting it. I said no. Then she asked whether Tyler would lose his college because of her. That question told me how quickly my mother's logic had entered the room. Tyler's college is not your debt, I said. Mia looked through the windshield. Grandma made it sound like there was one pile of money and I was taking all of it. There is not one pile. Then why did Grandpa sit there like there was? I did not have a kind answer. Because agreeing with her is easier than disappointing her. Mia nodded. She understood that language already. At home, we spread the letter on the kitchen table. The online portal required a code printed near the bottom. Mia entered it, but she did not click accept. Her hand hovered over the trackpad. "Can I sleep on it?" she asked. I wanted her to press the button before anyone could reach us. I also wanted her decision to be hers. "Yes," I said. "We will call the office in the morning." Then I made my own mistake. I asked for 48 hours before she answered my mother's calls. I said I wanted to calm things down and make sure Paul's care was covered. I told myself I was protecting Mia from a family fight during final exams. The truth was less flattering. Some part of me still believed I could explain a boundary so clearly that my mother would thank me for it if I tried harder. Mia agreed because she trusted me. She placed the cream envelope beside the fruit bowl and went upstairs. I stood alone in the kitchen, looking at the gold compass. The symbol was meant to suggest direction. My mother had treated it like a warning sign and tried to turn Mia around. I had taken the letter back. I had not yet taken back the decision. Renee answered my call before the first bell the next morning. I told her the letter had been delivered to my parents' address and withheld. She became quiet. Then she asked whether we still had the original. I said yes. "Good," she replied. "Do not mail it anywhere. Call the number on the page and copy me on every message." The scholarship director was a woman named Dana Shaw. She confirmed the award was real and still open. The acceptance deadline was Monday at noon, Central Time. Mia needed to accept online, submit a short teaching commitment, and pay a small enrollment deposit through the same secure page. Dana said the office had tried Mia's school email twice. Both messages had bounced into the district filter. I explained the certified letter. Dana did not ask for family details. She only said, "The award belongs to the student named on the letter. No relative can decline it for her." That sentence steadied me. The process was simple. Mia had to choose. My mother had created confusion around something that was not confusing at all. Dana emailed a fresh link to my personal address and Mia's new account. She also sent the delivery record. The postal receipt showed the date, time, and signature. Paul Hale had signed his name in a shaky blue line at 4:17 on Friday afternoon. He had not merely known the letter existed. He had received it with his own hand. I stared at the signature between library classes. Children moved around me, returning books and asking for tape. The ordinary noise made the truth feel sharper. My father had held an envelope with Mia's name. He had watched my mother open it. Then he had sat across from us at dinner, while she asked for the exact balance of Mia's account and known exactly why she was asking. At lunch, I called him. Paul answered on the fourth ring. I asked whether he signed for the letter. He sighed. "Yes. Did you know what it said?" Another pause. "Your mother read it to me." "When?" "That evening." I closed my office door. "So you had known for 12 days, he said. "I thought she had a plan to tell you." "She had a plan," I replied. "It included taking Mia's money." Paul told me not to use words like taking. He said Evelyn was trying to solve two problems at once. I asked what the two problems were. He said Tyler's tuition and Mia moving away. "Mia moving away is not a problem," I said. "It is her growing up." Paul lowered his voice. "Your mother is scared of being left alone with my recovery. Then she can ask for help." "She did." "No, she assigned help and hid the cost." He was silent. I asked whether he had ever planned to tell me. He said he did not know how. That was the answer he had used my entire life, when courage would have required a sentence. I told him something I had never said aloud. Every time you stay quiet, you are not standing in the middle. You are standing beside the person who benefits from your silence. He breathed into the phone. I waited. He finally said, "I am sorry Mia was hurt." Not, "I hurt Mia." Not yet. I ended the call before I helped him soften it further. When school ended, I found 3 missed calls from Mom and 1 message. "We need to finish the discussion before Grant loses his deposit window." She did not mention the scholarship. She did not ask how Mia felt. The central crisis in her mind was still Tyler's school. I saved the message and drove home. Mia was at the kitchen table with the letter beside her laptop. She had written 2 lists. One said reasons to go, the other said reasons to stay. The go list included the teaching program, smaller classes, and independence. The stay list contained Grandpa's surgery, Grandma being angry, and Tyler needing money. None of those reasons belonged to Mia's education. I sat beside her. "Cross out every reason that is another adult's responsibility." She looked at me. "That would leave almost nothing on the stay side." "I know." Mia touched the edge of the envelope. "Grandma will say I chose a school over family." She might. "Did she say that to you when you left for college?" The question opened an old room in my head. When I was 18, I received a summer research placement before my first year at college. It paid a small stipend and included housing. Grant had failed 2 classes and needed a ride to a remedial program every morning. Mom asked me to decline the placement. She said the family needed me. I did it. I told myself there would be other chances. There were other chances, but not that one. I had never blamed Grant. He was 16. He did not make the request. My mother did. She took the most reliable person in the room and converted reliability into access. I had spent 20 years calling that family duty. Now the same hand was reaching toward Mia. "Yes," I told her. She said something close to that. Mia waited. "What did you do?" "I stayed." "Did it help?" I thought about the research supervisor whose name I no longer remembered, the dorm I never saw, and the summer I spent driving Grant across town. It helped everyone except me. Mia drew a line through Grandpa's surgery. Then she crossed out Grandma being angry. She hesitated at Tyler needing money. "He is going to hate me." "He might be upset," I said. "But if he hates you because your savings stay yours, then the problem is not the scholarship." She crossed out the final line. Her phone rang before she could touch the acceptance link. Mom's name filled the screen. Mia looked at me. I remembered asking for 48 hours as if time itself could make my mother respectful. "You do not have to answer," I said. Mia shook her head. "I want to hear what she says." She put the call on speaker. Mom began gently. She said she loved Mia. She said no decision had to be made in anger. Then she described Paul's surgery in detail, including the stairs he would struggle to climb and the therapy appointments he might miss. She spoke as though a college acceptance in Milwaukee would place him alone in a snowbank. Mia asked, "Did Grandpa ask me to stay?" Mom paused. "He should not have to." Mia looked at me. Mom continued, "People who love family notice what is needed." That sentence had raised me. It had trained me to scan every room for work before I was allowed to have a want. Mia's voice shook. "Why did you open my letter?" Mom said the address belonged to her. Mia asked why she kept it. Mom said she needed time to understand the consequences. "For me?" Mia asked. "For everyone," Mom replied. A choice this large cannot be made by a teenager alone. I leaned toward the phone. She is not alone. She has a parent. Mom's tone changed at once. "This is exactly why I wanted to speak to her without you turning it into a fight. You called my minor child to pressure her after I told you to stop." "I called my granddaughter. That title does not give you parental authority." Mom said I was overreacting. She said she had only asked Mia to think. Then she used the sentence that ended the call. "Tyler has one real chance at a good start. Mia is a girl with options. She can adjust." Mia's face emptied. I reached over and disconnected the call. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Mia asked, "What does being a girl have to do with it?" I could have offered a careful explanation about old habits and unequal expectations. I did not. "Nothing," I said. "It is an excuse she uses to make your work look movable." Mia closed the laptop. She was not ready to click yet, but her guilt had changed shape. It was becoming anger. That evening, Grant called me. He sounded uncomfortable. "Mom says the dinner got out of hand." I told him the dinner had revealed a hidden scholarship letter and a form prepared in advance to transfer Mia's account to Tyler. He went silent. Then he said, "She told me you offered to help if Mia got the fellowship." I asked when she told him that. "About a week ago." The letter had reached their house almost 2 weeks earlier. 4 days after receiving it, Mom had promised Grant money from my daughter's account. Grant said he had already told Franklin West that family funding would cover part of the gap. He had not signed a loan. He had not paid anything beyond the normal deposit. The crisis was real, but it was not irreversible. "I never offered," I said. Grant swore under his breath. "I thought it sounded strange." "Then why did you believe it?" He answered honestly. "Because you always figure things out." There it was again. My competence had become consent. I told him he needed to make a plan that did not include Mia's money. He said he understood, but his voice carried panic. Tyler came onto the call. He had been listening nearby. "Aunt Lauren, I did not know about the scholarship letter." I believed him. His embarrassment sounded nothing like my mother's certainty. He said he could choose the state school. Grant interrupted and told him they would discuss it later. Tyler replied, "We should have discussed it before Grandma promised money that was not hers." That was the first crack in Mom's plan. She had counted on Tyler wanting Franklin West enough to make everyone else afraid to disappoint him or ask a single question. Instead, he sounded ashamed to be used as leverage. I told him none of this was his fault. Then I added, "But the money is not available." Saying it directly felt cleaner than any explanation. Grant asked whether we could meet before Monday. He wanted everyone in one room with no messages passed through Mom. I did not want another family meeting. I also knew Mom would keep contacting Mia unless the boundary became visible. We agreed on Sunday evening at my parents' house. The scholarship deadline was the next day at noon. After the call, I told Mia about the meeting. She asked whether she had to attend. I said no. She thought for a while and said she wanted to be there. "Grandma keeps speaking about me like I am a line on her budget," she said. "I want her to hear me as a person." I warned her that Mom might not listen. Mia replied, "Then I want to hear myself." Saturday morning, I called the company that managed Mia's education account. I did not tell them a dramatic story. I asked who could change the beneficiary, who could request a withdrawal, and what information appeared on mailed statements. The representative confirmed that I was the sole owner. No one else had authority. Mom had a form, but the form was useless without my signature. I changed the online password and added a verbal code for phone calls. I also switched every statement to electronic delivery. Those steps did not move the money. They did something more important. They closed the small openings my mother treated as invitations. When the representative asked whether I wanted to add another authorized person, I said no. The account balance was still $36,000. It looked small beside 4 years of living costs, books, travel, and classroom supplies. Mia's scholarship covered tuition, not life. Mom had described the money as extra because she wanted it to be extra. I printed one account page. It showed my name as owner and Mia as beneficiary. I printed the postal receipt with Paul's signature. Then I made a copy of the scholarship letter. 3 pages, no binder, no presentation. I did not need to prove our whole family history. I needed to keep one decision from being buried under old guilt. Mia spent Saturday writing the teaching commitment required by the award. The prompt asked why she wanted to work in a high-need school. She wrote about the reading group and the fox that could not follow a straight path. She wrote that children deserved adults who adjusted the path without lowering the destination. I read the paragraph twice and had to look away. "Is it too sentimental?" she asked. "No, you are making the face." "What face?" "The one where you pretend your eyes are tired." I laughed. Then I apologized, not for crying, for asking her to wait. "I wanted to make everyone comfortable before you chose," I said. "That was not fair." Mia leaned back in her chair. "You were scared Grandma would blame you?" "Yes, she is going to blame you anyway." There was no cruelty in it, just accuracy. I had taught Mia to name the shape of a problem. Now she was naming mine. I had delayed her answer because I still wanted to pretend innocence remained in a conflict my mother had already made deliberate. I told Mia she could accept the award before Sunday. She shook her head. "I want to finish the essay tonight, then I want to click it tomorrow after I say what I need to say." I asked whether that gave Mom too much power. Mia considered it. "No. I already know my answer. I just do not want her to think I disappeared from my own decision." That distinction mattered. Waiting from fear and waiting by choice can look identical from across a room. Inside the person, they are not the same. I checked the deadline again. Monday at noon, Central Time. We would still have more than 16 hours after the meeting. I agreed with one condition. If the meeting became abusive, we would leave and accept from home. Mom sent a message that afternoon. "Bring the account paperwork. Grant has adjusted the proposal." I replied, "I will bring what is relevant." She answered at once, "Everything is relevant when family is involved." I did not respond. Family had become her favorite tool because it could expand to cover anything she wanted and shrink around anything she owed. Paul called next. He said Mom had barely slept. I asked whether Mia had slept after learning her grandparents hid a scholarship. He did not answer. Then he asked me to be gentle on Sunday. "Your mother thinks she is losing both grandchildren." "She is losing control of 2 college decisions," I said. "That is not the same thing." He told me Evelyn had grown up poor. Her older brother attended college while she stayed home and worked. I knew that story. It explained why education frightened her and why sons looked urgent in her mind. It did not explain opening Mia's mail. "Did you tell her the letter was wrong?" I asked. Paul said he had tried. I asked for the exact words. He admitted he had said, "Maybe we should wait." That was not opposition. It was a request for a slower violation. I told him Sunday was his chance to speak clearly. He said he did not want to be forced to choose sides. "You signed for the letter," I replied. "You already chose an action." On Sunday morning, Renee met Mia and me at the school library. She had offered to check the essay before the meeting. Sunlight came through the high windows and fell across the tables where Mia had spent years doing homework after my shifts. Renee read the commitment, made one small suggestion, and told Mia the award committee had selected her because the work sounded like her. Mia asked whether accepting would take the scholarship from someone else. Renee explained that alternates existed, but Mia was not stealing a place by accepting the one the committee had offered in her name. "A scholarship is not a favor you apologize for," she said. "It is an investment the committee chose to make." Mia nodded. I saw another piece of guilt leave her shoulders. Renee offered to come to the family meeting. I thanked her and declined. This was not her burden. The scholarship did not need a professional witness to become valid. Mom understood the letter. She simply disliked what it protected. I did ask Renee to keep her phone nearby in case the acceptance link failed. That was preparation, not rescue. At home, Mia printed her final essay and placed it in the cream envelope. She also tucked in a photograph from the reading group. 6 children sat around a table holding paper foxes. Mia stood behind them in a sweatshirt, smiling with the open pride she usually hid from cameras, with craft glue dried on one sleeve. "Why the photo?" I asked. "Because Grandma keeps talking about what I can do for family," she said. "This is the family I am trying to serve." I packed the laptop, charger, envelope, and 3 printed pages. Nothing else. I wore jeans and a navy sweater. Mia wore the Cedar Hills sweatshirt she had nearly returned. The gold compass logo rested over her heart. When she came downstairs, I smiled. "Less desperate?" I asked. She said, more decided. We drove to Verona under a low gray sky. The trip took 22 minutes. Mom called twice while we were on the road. I let both calls go unanswered. Mia watched the clock on the dashboard. "She thinks being early makes her right," she said. I asked where she learned that. From being related to her. Grant's car was already in the driveway. Tyler sat in the passenger seat with the door open, talking to his father. Paul stood behind the front window. Mom opened the door before we reached the porch. Her eyes went straight to the Cedar Hills logo. "I see you dressed for the argument," she said. Mia answered, "I dressed for my decision." We walked inside. The dining room looked exactly as it had on Tuesday, except the food was gone. Mom had arranged 6 chairs around the table and placed the gray folder in front of her. A legal pad sat beside it. She had written an agenda. I could see 3 headings: scholarship, surgery, tuition. My daughter's life had become a meeting with numbered concerns. Grant and Tyler sat together. Paul took the chair farthest from Mom. Mia and I remained standing until she pointed to our places. "Let us do this calmly," she said. I put the laptop on the table. "Calm is fine, clear is required." Mom pressed her lips together and began. She said everyone had been emotional on Tuesday. She said mistakes were made in the way information was presented. She never named who made them. Then she described the revised plan. Mia would attend the state university and live with me. She would help Paul during the summer. I would transfer $36,000 to Tyler's education expenses. Grant would repay part of it over time. Grant looked at her. "That is not the plan we discussed." Mom did not turn. "It is the only plan that protects both children." I asked what protected Mia. Mom tapped the scholarship page in her folder. "A private school 2 hours away is not protection. It is a risk. She can get the same degree here." Mia sat straighter. "Did you read my essay?" Mom blinked. "What?" "The essay for the scholarship. Did you read it when you opened the envelope?" "The essay was not in the envelope." "Right, so you do not know why they chose me." "You only know the award makes it harder to use my money." Mom's face changed. "That is disrespectful." Mia's hands were shaking under the table, but her voice stayed level. "Opening my mail was disrespectful." Mom turned to me. "This is what you have taught her in 5 days." I answered, "No." "You gave her the lesson in 11. I placed the postal receipt on the table. Paul signed for the letter on Friday at 4:17. Mom looked at him as if the signature were his betrayal, not the hidden envelope. I placed the copied award letter beside it. "You opened it that evening. The deadline was underlined in your ink. 4 days later, you promised Grant money from Mia's account." Grant picked up the receipt. "You knew before you called me?" Mom said she knew Mia might have an opportunity. "A full tuition scholarship," I corrected. "Not a possibility, not a rumor, an offer with her name on it." Mom waved one hand. "An offer can still be the wrong choice. Then Mia gets to reject it. You do not get to bury it." Paul spoke without lifting his eyes. "Lauren is right about the letter." Mom turned sharply. The room seemed to contract. Paul swallowed. "We should have called them that night." Mom stared at him. "You agreed that we needed time." "I agreed because I did not want a fight. And now you are creating one." I said, "The fight began when you opened the envelope." Mom looked back at me. "You always reduce everything to one action." "Because one action can be enough." I pointed to the paper. "You had a simple choice. Call Mia or hide the letter. You hid it." Mom leaned forward. "I was protecting this family from a reckless decision." I asked who had appointed her to decide. She answered with the sentence she had been saving. "I raised you. I held this family together. I know what family money is for." Her hand landed on the account form. "That money should go where it is needed most." I opened the account page and slid it toward her. My name is the owner, Mia is the beneficiary, there is no family account. Mom barely glanced at it. Paperwork is not morality. Correct, I said. Morality is not opening a child's mail because you want her savings. She looked at Mia. Your grandfather will need you. Paul finally raised his head. No, I will not. Mom froze. Paul's voice was quiet, but the words were complete. The clinic has transportation. Grant offered to take me on Fridays. The church has a meal schedule. Mia does not need to give up school for my knee. Mom's cheeks reddened. That is not the point. Tyler spoke from beside Grant. Then what is the point? Mom told him not to get involved. He laughed once without humor. You used my college to get everyone here. I am already involved. Grant placed a hand on his son's shoulder, but he did not silence him. Mom returned to me because control was easier when she looked at the child she had trained. You can afford to help. Afford is not the question. It is exactly the question. Mia has tuition. Tyler does not. Mia earned tuition. That did not create a debt to Tyler. She called me cold. She said Grant had struggled through layoffs and a divorce. She said Tyler should not suffer for his father's mistakes. I agreed with the second sentence. That surprised her. Tyler should not suffer, I said. He also should not be taught that a girl's work becomes his property when he needs it. Grant flinched. I do not believe that. Then say what you believe. He looked at Mom, then at me. I believe I should have verified the offer with you. I believe Tyler and I need a plan we can pay for. I do not want Mia's account. Mom snapped. You are saying that because she has humiliated you. Grant replied. No, I am saying it because you lied to me. The word landed harder than shouting. Mom stood. I did not lie. I anticipated what Lauren would do if she remembered who helped raise her. There was the claim beneath every request. Childhood had been in advance. Food, shelter, rides, and school clothes were invoices waiting for my adult income. I stood too. You raised me to take care of everyone, I said. I am finally taking care of the person you keep volunteering. I placed my hand on Mia's shoulder. You hid her future, then tried to spend the money you thought would be left behind. That is not family planning. That is theft with a seating chart. Mom's eyes flashed. Do not use that word in my house. Then give me a better word for opening her letter, hiding it for 11 days, and promising her savings to someone else. She opened her mouth. Nothing came. For once, the space was not filled by Paul smoothing the edges or me offering a softer phrase. I turned the laptop toward Mia. Are you ready? She looked around the table. Her gaze stopped on Paul, then Grant, then Tyler. Finally, she looked at Mom. I love Grandpa. I care about Tyler. I am still going to Cedar Hills. Mom said, you will regret making a permanent decision in anger. Mia answered, I made it before I got angry. I entered the code from the cream letter. Mia read the teaching commitment aloud, not for approval, but because she wanted her own words in the room before anyone interrupted. She finished with the line about adjusting the path without lowering the destination. Then she signed her name on the trackpad. I entered the enrollment deposit from my checking account. The final button said Accept Award. I looked at Mia. She nodded. I clicked it. The page loaded for 3 seconds. A green banner appeared across the screen. Welcome to the Cedar Hills Teaching Fellows Program. An email reached both of us before Mom found her next sentence. The scholarship was accepted. The decision was real. Mom reached for the beneficiary form. This does not settle Tyler's tuition. I picked up the form before she could. The yellow tab still marked my signature line. I tore the page once through Tyler's name, then again through mine. I placed the pieces on top of her agenda. No, I said, that settles my part in it. Mom stared at the torn paper as if I had damaged something valuable. You came here planning to do this. I came prepared to protect Mia's choice. Same thing, only if you plan to take it away. She looked toward Paul for support. He did not move. She told us we were dividing the family. I asked what she called hiding a scholarship from one grandchild to finance the other. She said I was twisting her intentions. "Intentions do not give back the 11 days you took from Mia," I replied. "They do not erase the moment Mia learned you saw her future as negotiable." Mom pointed at the door. "Then go celebrate with the people at that school." Mia rose slowly. "I will," she said. "They read my work before deciding what I deserved." Mom looked wounded by the comparison. I let the wound stand. It came from the truth, not cruelty. Before we left, I gave Mom one clear boundary. She was not to contact Mia about college, money, Paul's recovery, or Tyler's tuition. She was not to open, hold, or redirect any mail with our names. Any future contact would come through me until Mia chose otherwise. Mom said I could not control a grandmother's relationship. "Neither can you," I answered. Paul walked us to the porch. This time, he did not ask me to understand Evelyn. He faced Mia. "I signed for your letter, and I let your grandmother keep it. I was wrong." His voice broke on the last word. Mia did not hug him. She said, "Thank you for saying it clearly." That was all he had earned that night. Grant and Tyler followed us outside. Grant said he would call the state university in the morning and reopen the aid discussion. Tyler looked at Mia's sweatshirt. "Congratulations," he said. She thanked him. Then he added, "I am sorry my name was on that form." Mia said, "You did not print it." They hugged beside the driveway. Mom remained inside. Through the front window, I saw her gather the torn pieces into a neat stack. She had lost control of the scholarship decision, the account, and the funding she had promised Grant. More than that, she had lost the belief that my calm meant permission. Nothing dramatic happened to her house or her bank account. She simply had to live inside the word no. Mia and I drove home with the cream envelope between us. At a red light, she touched the gold compass seal. "Do you feel bad?" she asked. I considered the question. "I feel sad," I said. "That is different." She nodded. We had spent years confusing sadness with evidence that a boundary was wrong. That night, we stopped. Monday morning arrived without disaster. The acceptance remained active. Dana Shaw confirmed the deposit and sent Mia an orientation packet. Renee released the quarantined messages from the school system, and there they were, 2 bright emails waiting behind a filter. Mia printed one and laughed. "Apparently my future was in spam and grandma's folder," she said. I changed every college record to our home address. I removed my parents from Mia's emergency contact list and replaced them with Colin and a trusted neighbor. Colin called from Arizona after Mia told him what happened. He was furious at my parents and embarrassed that distance had left me carrying the fight. He paid for Mia's first laptop without turning it into a speech. The $36,000 stayed in Mia's education account. It covered her dorm, meal plan, books, travel, and the classroom supplies her scholarship did not include that first year. Each payment went directly toward her education. Not $1 went to Tyler. No family meeting changed that. No guilty message made the balance communal. Grant called 3 days after the confrontation. He had spoken with the state university and found a package Tyler could manage with grants, a federal loan, and part-time work. Tyler chose it. The campus was less glamorous than Franklin West, but the program was solid. Grant said the new plan scared him because it required consistency. "That is probably why it is ours," he admitted. He apologized for believing Mom without calling me. I accepted the apology because it named the action. I did not offer money. Grant did not ask. Our relationship became less easy and more honest. Sometimes that is the better trade. Paul's surgery happened in July. The clinic van took him to therapy twice a week. Grant handled Fridays. 2 men from church installed a temporary railing by the back steps. Mom managed the meals she had claimed required Mia's future. The crisis shrank to its real size. Once she could no longer use it to control a college decision, and adults did their share. Paul mailed Mia a letter after his first therapy session. He wrote that fear had made him passive, but passivity had still caused harm. He did not ask her to forgive him. He wrote the delivery date at the bottom and admitted he had known for 11 days. Mia read the letter, then placed it with the cream envelope. She called him 2 weeks later. Their relationship is careful now. Paul calls on Sundays. He asks about classes and listens to the answers. Mia does not visit the house alone. I do not use his apology to excuse the years he let Mom speak for him. Clear words opened a door. They did not erase the room behind it. Mom sent me one polished message near the end of July. She said everyone had misunderstood her efforts, but she never wrote, "I opened Mia's mail," or "I was wrong." I replied once in writing. Contact with Mia would resume only if Mia requested it. College, money, and our mail were no longer open for discussion. Any attempt to pressure her through Paul, Grant, or Tyler would end contact again. Mom answered, "You have become very formal." I left the boundary where it was. By August, Mia's room was stacked with boxes. She packed too many books, 3 lamps, and a plant neither of us expected to survive. On move-in day, we drove to Milwaukee before sunrise. The cream envelope rode in the glove compartment. Mia said she wanted it with her, not as a trophy, but as a reminder to check who was holding important information after what happened. Cedar Hills placed the teaching fellows in the same residence hall. At orientation, Dana Shaw recognized Mia from her interview. She shook her hand and said, "We were hoping you would choose us." Mia smiled. No one in that room asked whether Tyler needed her place more. No one called her flexible. They treated her decision as real. I helped make the bed and arrange books on a narrow shelf. Mia taped the photograph from the reading group above her desk. Then she slid the cream letter into a clear frame. The gold compass seal showed at the top. Under it, she placed a small card with one sentence from her essay, "Adjust the path. Keep the destination." When it was time to leave, I cried in the parking lot. Mia cried too. We were sad because separation matters, not because leaving was betrayal. She hugged me and said, "You know I am not choosing school over you." I said, "I know. You are choosing your life, and I am lucky to be part of it." My mother believed a good daughter stayed useful enough to be claimed. I believed that for a long time too. Mia taught me something better. Love can ask, it cannot assign. Family can need you. It cannot hide your future and call that protection. That cream envelope did more than offer tuition. It showed us exactly who thought Mia's choices belonged to her and who thought they could be redistributed for convenience. She received the scholarship. Tyler found a plan of his own. My mother received no money and no authority over either child. That is why the ending feels fair to me. If someone in your family called one child flexible and the other child urgent, what would you do when real money was involved? Tell me in the comments. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who needs permission to protect a future they worked for without apology. And if you would like more stories about quiet boundaries and earned consequences, subscribe and join us for the next one.